Last night, taxiing out from Melbourne Airport, it was like musical chairs. Everyone had sat down and there was no seat for us. Taxiing down towards Juliet, a whole line of aircraft are going nowhere. It was like September 11th, all over again. The day got stranger still when we were required to fill out a form on arriving back into our home state. Filling out the box with seat number was a bit of a puzzle. Police met us on arrival and processed passengers 3 at a time. Of course, these measures are absolutely necessary to make sure we control this, but are still confronting.
Ground control to Major Tom.
The other day, I picked up my daughter from school, and she was rushing, and she dropped her iPad, and it hit the ground and smash. The screen was smashed. If that had happened a year ago, I would have completely lost it. I would have blown my top. But I didn't. I just went over and said, "Oh, it's okay," and we got on with our day. My daughter was actually more upset than I was, and I feel I've made real growth personally in that department, and it wasn't always that way. And I'm going to share with you now what flicked the switch for me. I ended up seeing a counsellor about how to manage being a better dad and how not to, and it boiled down to I was fearful of the chaos that comes with the territory of being in a family. You don't know from one minute to the next whether your kid's going to start putting change into the CD player of your car, or they're going to get sick and end up in a hospital. And that drove a stake of fear into my chest, and the way I would react is like a shaved gorilla and try to drive my way out of it with anger and might and forcefulness. And what the counsellor that I saw said, and it was so simple, she said that I have to look at that jungle that is the fearful place, and rather than go into it ready for a fight, you have to go in it with a curious nature and just really embrace the chaos that is in that jungle. Just really revel in it. And once she said that, the scales fell from my eyes, and parenting became a lot easier. I hope that can help you with your home life right now. Having said that, some chaos just won't do. The irony of this situation is that despite the craziness, we're getting a fair bit of peace at home. Try to find real solace in just routines from day to day, helping around the house, and if you're really game... What's that bloody thing? When I was about 26 years old, I was driving from Pearce Air Base up here in Perth back to my flat in South Perth, and suddenly all the traffic was slowing down, and then a lot of people were milling around. I was about 8 cars back, so I walked down the row of cars to see what was going on, and became apparent there was been a head-on accident, and 2 cars had collided with each other, and I was in flying suit because I was coming from the airbase, and everyone was standing around in a circle around both cars, but no one was doing anything. everyone was dead still. And I looked around and I said, has anyone called for an ambulance? And everyone looked at me in a sort of bit of a daze, like a bunch of cows. And then I saw that there were people in these cars, and I started directing people to what to do. So I said, you come with me. Can somebody please go look after that gent? And we started attending to the people in the cars. We opened the door to the car, and there was a man in the front of the car, his wife in the passenger seat, and a little baby in the back of the seat. The wife and the baby were fine, so we got somebody to take them out, and we proceeded to mouth to mouth on the man that was in the front of the seat. It was really confronting. He had a piece of metal sticking out of the side of his head, and he was gulping like a fish. There was another man. I asked if anybody knew CPR, and there was a man said he did, so we proceeded to work on this man. And when it came time for us to change over, for him to have a go at doing the breathing, he just couldn't do it. And so we kept going, and it went for 15 minutes, and eventually an ambulance turned up. The reason I tell you that story is there was two reasons why we were able to work that scene. One is that I'd been trained in just premeditating and then acting when I was confronted with some sort of crisis. And two, I was in uniform, so everyone looked to me to solve the problem. Right now, when we're at work, and even when we're at home, people are looking to us again to lead. And what do you know, we're really good at it. So several times while I've been around the network in the last 4 days, I've come across engineers sitting in cockpits that are looking despondent, and flight attendants, again, really needing support and direction. And we're perfectly placed to help them, and we should help them. Give yourself permission to lead. You'll be surprised how good you are at it. And give yourself permission to step beyond the realms of what is our standard box that we operate with leading. I just heard in London, streets are putting up red cards and green cards in all the houses along the streets. And if all the cards are green, then the person inside's doing really well. But if somebody finds themselves in trouble, they can turn that red card around. I'm just starting to think that I might do that in my street when it comes time. So laminate 200 odd cards and let a box drop them, and see if we can build some community that way. Yeah. After all that seriousness, you'll probably be in the mood for a movie like this, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, Bill Murray at his absolute finest. Forget Groundhog Day, forget Caddyshack. This is quirky as it gets. The only other film I've seen that's quirkier is Bad Boy Bubby, and in that one they glad wrap a cat. I don't need to say more. Thanks for watching, folks. That's enough for now. If you've enjoyed it, maybe consider subscribing. If you're going to do one thing tomorrow that could help out another bloke, that'd really help us all out. Here's the sources of help, but the biggest source is just mates of each other. So pick a person, give them a call.